Yo, what's poppin'? It's Tommathan, and I'm here to review the Hangzhou Sparks season, which started off really strong and then went into a car crash, and then they came out of the car crash with a brand new car, and the insurance was all good to cover it. And now it's looking like they're going to be pretty good next season as well, so not bad. But for this season, they finished fourth in APAC out of 7 with an 11-13 record, a -3 map differential, and 13 points. And if you were to look at the first two stages and go, wow, they went 9-3. How the fuck did they end 11-13? Well, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. They should not have. The roster in the end ends up being Shy, Architect, Pineapple, and Alfie as the DPS, with Shy and Alfie being the main two. But Pineapple did come in some games, and Architect a little bit as well. Then you have a tank line of Gushue Bernard, and a support line of Super Rich, Irony, Neko, and Teru in the end. They did have Ligue there on the tank line as a two-way contract, but they just let him go. And Bernard, it was going to be Bernard the whole way through, so why even bother? And then they had originally just Super Rich Irony, but the Summer Showdown was so bad, they were like, Neko, stop being an assistant coach for this team and come play because we need you. He was awful. He was just horrible. Maybe the worst player to play in all of Season 5 of Owl. Neko was tragic, but they also bring on Teru, who did help them in the end, especially in the playoffs of the Kiriko. Then anyway, the staff, Changun head coach, Miro assistant coach. As I said, Neko was the assistant coach. And they have a manager of Gandalf. I don't know who that is, but whatever. Anyway, Kickoff Clash. 5-1, +8 for number 1 in APAC. They were the best APAC team in this stage. They only lost to Shanghai in a map 5. They beat Seoul. They beat everybody else. Now, they did have some main map 5s, sure. Then the Kickoff Clash comes around. The actual tournament, I remember it vividly, an absolute trollage in map 4 against the Philadelphia Fusion on New Queen Street, where Bernard whiffed a grab so bad. It was awful. And they end up losing, and then they lose to Seoul quite promptly after. I thought that the Spark were the best Zarya comp in APAC. I thought they had it down pat, but they fucking whiffed it against Philly. And Philly they do go back and forth against Philly so much. Like, win-loss, win-loss, loss-win, loss-loss. So maybe, I guess, they went 2-4 against Philly overall. My bad. But, like, it was a brawl between the two. I still think they had the best Zarya comp. Bernard was really good on it. Alfie on the Genji. This was peak at this point for him. He was in Rookie of the Year conversations in the Kickoff Clash. He was very good. Shy on the Soldier, honestly, was probably his worst stage, was the Kickoff Clash. Because even though, they go 1-5 in both the other stages, which is bad. I don't think Shy particularly was performing poorly, So I think he was actually had the least carry potential in the Kickoff Clash, and it was their best stage, which is kind of, well, I guess MidSeason Madness tournament was their best stage. Or I guess the playoffs was their best stage, but whatever. You know what I mean. But yeah, Kickoff Clash comes and goes, and they look pretty strong, but they lose to Philly, they lose to Seoul, and it is what it is. MidSeason Madness comes around. Oh, also, worth mentioning, Gushue could not buy a win. They were coming in, putting him on the Winston every now and then, and he just was not finding wins until the MidSeason Madness. Like, he had a 0% win rate. I don't know what it was. They got so bad they were putting Bernard on Diva on Dorado. Like, they just couldn't figure out what the fuck was wrong with Gushue. And I don't know. It's been carried over into the MidSeason Madness for a bit, but then eventually Gushue would get some W's on the board. But he was not the main go-to guy, even in the tournament. They wanted to play Bernard on the Wrecking Ball more often than not, which was like a little unexpected, but he was all right. He was decent. I think Bernard had a really good season. Pretty underrated player. He's retired now, but I was a big fan of Bernard. His Wrecking Ball, they got it together. It was looking good. It was looking solid. But of course, Shy is the main guy here this whole way through. If Shy doesn't kill everyone, they're not winning. Even though Alpha was performing well at this point as well, and they were a two-edged sword. They could punch both ways. If you don't look at Shy, Alpha could carry. If you looked at Alpha Shy would carry. If it wasn't a question, he just would. So that was pretty good. The mid-season match was also good for them in the way that they could play Super Rich on the Brigitte and not troll, because his Brig was way stronger than this Lucio. One of the only teams that you'll see at the bottom here that have below 50% playtime is Lucio. I don't know how many other teams do, but they're one of the only ones, because they have a 40% Brig win rate, or play rate, compared to the normal 35, which is like not that significant, but when you consider that it comes from the Lucio, and they did not get a Summer Showdown tournament where everyone played Brig, it is pretty significant because this number rather, the 35 would go way down, not including the tournament. So not way down, but a good percentage down. So it just shows like how they played the midseason madness. But they unfortunately would lose quite tragically. Aim God would hit the luckiest sleep of his life in this match against Philly. That honestly, it could have been a 3-2, a 3-1 for the Spark here. Because they were up 3 or 2-1, and the Aim God hits a sleep dart on a Nano Shy as they're about to take the lead on New Queen Street, and it haunts my dreams. That's like 2 times against the Philly in 2 different tournaments where it's like, fuck, man, you had it. You legit had it. And then Philly would, of course, go off to lose because, of course, they do. Or I think they won the next one. I don't remember. Fucking hell. Dang. And then the car crash begins. They come over to Hangzhou because at this point, Alpha Yi, Bernard, Irony were playing in Korea. And they were not with the team. They come with the team in the Summer Showdown and they just shit the bed. Alpha Yi is not there for the first 2 matches. They put in Architect, who doesn't play the worst Overwatch in the world, but he's not fucking Alpha Yi. He had some clips, he played some Genji, and it is what it is. But, like, they just did not know what the fuck was going on. They tried putting Gooshway on Junker Queen. It never worked out. They tried putting Bernard on Junker Queen. I don't even think the Junker Queen was the problem. The backline was just tragic. Irony on the Brig was maybe the worst Brig I've ever seen. In Super Rich Lucio, while it's okay, it's fine, it's suitable, it's nothing crazy. Right? It can't make up for Irony being the worst Brig I've ever seen in my life. Like, and Alfie didn't know what the fuck he was doing either. This was like the meta that Genji had the most impact, I think, that led the charge for your team, and Alfie couldn't do anything. I don't know what the fuck happened in this stage. Countdown Cup, it happens again. Like, what? Like, Alfie didn't do anything. He gets benched for the Countdown Cup. Pineapple comes in and he clutches up big time. I don't know what turned around in the Countdown Cup. They somehow turned on the Jets and just rolled Chengdu. They had multiple C9. Chengdu did. Like, I don't know what happened. Because looking at this, I was like, there's no way. They're not making it to playoffs. They are 1-8. No, 1-10, sorry, in their last back half of the season. Look at this record. This is the worst record in all of APAC. It's 1-5 and -10 in the stage. Nobody else did that bad. Not even the Valiant had a stage this bad. Like, well, no, wait. Charge didn't win in the midseason madness, right? Okay, so Charge had a worse stage. But still, it's like, holy shit, bro. I can't. The car crash that happened with this team should be impossible. It should just be impossible. With the talent they had and how good they were in the first half, to go 1-5 2 stages in a row was just irredeemable. And then they redeemed it because they come to the playoffs, they come to play, you get luck into the luckiest meta of your life, you get Shy on Soj, you get fucking Teru being that guy on the Kiriko, just flanking, playing it like nobody else. Nobody else was even remotely playing it like Teru. He was the most off-angle, aggressive, playing for picks Kiriko in the entire tournament, and it worked up until you had to play against the best 2 teams in the tournament. It worked until you had to play Dallas and Shock. Straight up. I don't know. They've got rid of Neko because Neko in the Countdown Cup was so bad. He was so bad. Teru was alright. He was doing okay. Whatever. It's nothing crazy. But I don't know. How the fuck this team had such a weird season. This might be the weirdest season in the whole league. I'm looking at this. It doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. Looking at some stats on the side there, you see Shy have a good amount above the second place for hero damage per 10. You see him have pretty high deaths because he has to do it all himself. Architect having 5.9 deaths whenever he played 2 maps is kind of crazy, but I guess he got 3 out in both of them. What's he going to do? I love to see the Shy stats pre half of the season, like the first half compared to the second half. That'd be funny to me because his death probably is the only thing that changes, I would guess. I don't know. This team is fucking bonkers. This team next season should be better. The leak is just like, Chengdu, Shy, Jinmu leave. Gushui and Monk. Overall, the season's pretty fucking bad. Like my Alfred Yi in the first half is the biggest thing for me because he was actually rookie of the year candidate. In the second half, I just like he wasn't even a real player. His playoffs was all right. His Reaper was fine, but he was getting carried. Okay, whatever. So like this video if you like the Hangzhou Spark being awful and them being good. I don't know. Uh have a good one in deuces. Fucking hell.